I love when theists have proof of a God's existence. I would like nothing more than to be shown that there is a God. So when a fella from the Emerald Isle claims that there is proof that a God exists, I had to see where I was going wrong. Hello, I'm the Skeptic. I watch videos on YouTube that make extraordinary claims, whether that's flat earth or strange conspiracies, but mostly the claim that a God is real, and then explain why I can't accept their position. Before we get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be alerted for my next video, and drop a like. That would be awesome. Now, I'm British, and for the last 38 years, I'd been living in the UK, but 3 weeks ago, I moved to the United States, specifically Kentucky. It's certainly going to be interesting living in Bible Belt America as a non-believer, but that explains my absence for the last 2 weeks. But now I'm back and ready to be shown that there is a God, with this proof that Seamus from Antobar Newer, which I think translates to New Well, has to offer. As a similar-sized channel to this one, Seamus's video jumped out at me.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Seamus, here with you again with another video. Today is a big one, however, because today we're going to be looking and seeing if there's actually any proof for the existence of God. Now, when I visit schools, I ask people a lot if they believe in God or if they don't. And for the people that don't, the main reason they give is that there is no proof. Now, in this video, I am going to attempt to give you some proof that you may not be aware of. However, and I must stress this, that when you're dealing with a subject as difficult or as big as like the existence of God, we can get lost down a lot of different philosophies and we can argue over so many different things, including like what is proof. If you do like to get into the nitty-gritty of complex arguments for the existence of God, then I know a few people that make a great, if complicated, argument for God's existence.
If it's complicated, then how on earth could a God be pissed off that lots of people don't believe in it? I think many folks would accept a simple proof that is easily observed. You're hardly going to believe that there's a monster under my bed if the proof of it is really complicated.
And I'll give you a list of those people in the description below. However, in this video, myself and yourself, we're going to look at something called the cosmological argument.
Oh, good. One of the oldest arguments that says because things exist, there's a God. Eye roll.
I think it's a great place to start because you get to use the word cosmological, which immediately makes you feel about, 15% smarter.
I have a feeling that 15% smarter thing won't last long.
Cosmological has to do with the cosmos, which is just another word for the universe.
That isn't necessarily true. Depending on its usage, cosmos could be used to describe everything outside of the observable universe. Knowing that, this whole argument loses credibility.
The existence of the universe is actually evidence for the existence of God.
And I'm sure you're about to explain why.
Now, scientists generally agree that the universe began about 13.6 billion years ago with the Big Bang. What's interesting to note, though, is this whole theory of the Big Bang actually began with a Catholic priest called George Lemaître.
And a theory of an expanding universe from a singular point from someone who also believes in a God doesn't demonstrate that a deity exists, it just explains a hypothesis. Plus, it's been reported that Lemaître clearly insisted that there was neither a connection nor a conflict between his religion and his science. Therefore, the fact that Lemaître also believed in a God is irrelevant to the proposition that the universe is expanding.
The reason I think that's important to know is that a lot of people think that the Big Bang is like evidence against God, whereas it was first theorized by a priest who firmly believed in the existence of God. And a lot of other scientific discoveries about our universe were made by priests and other clergymen.
And?
So how can the universe be evidence for God? Well, the fact that it has a beginning, for one.
Saying the word beginning can sometimes come with baggage. I prefer the words start point, as that doesn't rely on any other factors. It's just when what we know as the universe today started its rapid expansion.
So if everything we know, everything that was and everything that will be had an origin in the Big Bang, that begs the question, what started the Big Bang?
Yes, what started the Big Bang? A great question. And it's also okay to say, I don't know. Not, I can't explain it, therefore a God. That logic can also be applied to universe-creating pixies or the potato from the dinosaurs universe.
Dinosaurs and all living things were created by the great potato, an omnipotent, all-knowing, starchy tuber who rules the universe.
Common experience and scientific evidence both verify that something can't come from nothing.
Correct, but who says there was nothing before the known universe started? Also, when it comes to a God proposition, something can come from nothing, as a God creates things out of nothing, apparently.
Being can't come from non-being.
Not technically true, as abiogenesis theorizes that with the correct conditions and enough time, inorganic matter can become organic. Plus, from the start point of the universe to the start point of the Earth to the first simple-celled organism was a huge amount of time. The known universe came into existence almost 14 billion years ago. The Earth was formed around 4.5 billion years ago. How on earth did it take a God 9 billion years, 9 billion, to make a planet for humans to live on? How on earth did it take a God another 1 billion years to create a single-celled organism? And then the first modern humans have been around for approximately 300,000 years, so how did it take a God over 2 billion years to get to that point? I've been saying numbers so much now that I'm not entirely sure I got all of that correct, but you get the gist. It was a long time.
If something like the Big Bang comes into being from nothing, then it's kind of inexplicable why everything doesn't just come into being from nothing.
You'll have to demonstrate that things do come from nothing first, though. Science doesn't suggest it does. It's a theist position to say something comes from nothing.
Why is it only universes? Why don't elephants just appear or tables just appear?
Why don't gods just appear to make this whole does a god exist argument much easier to deal with?
Also, there's the question of why is there something rather than nothing? There doesn't need to be anything. It's much easier for nothing to go on existing rather than something happening.
And yet, here we are. So, that point is irrelevant.
Time, space and matter, or things, they all originated in the Big Bang. So whatever caused the Big Bang to be cannot be confined by time or space or matter.
Where on earth did you get that from? This is going back to my earlier point. I don't know is much more honest to say than I don't know, therefore the omnipotent potato.
God, as a supernatural being, or a more than natural being, fits this criteria.
So does the potato.
God is described as eternal, not confined by time. God is also described as being omnipresent, so not confined to a particular space.
God was also described as being really slow at his job, since it took him so long to do anything.
And God is also described as not being made of a thing or a material. The authors who wrote about God's supernatural nature were writing thousands of years before we had the theory of the Big Bang.
And it wasn't demonstrated to be any more true than it is now, which isn't a whole lot, by the way.
And they'd already given God the necessary attributes to be the one that caused the Big Bang.
And I can write attributes to a giant universe-creating mushroom, which now means that it's entirely plausible that a mushroom, which is outside of space and time and is supernatural, created the universe.
So if you are looking for proof of God's existence, the very fact that we exist may just be that.
Or not, whatever.
We don't have to be here, and yet here we are. And asking questions like this led a lot of great minds to accept the existence of God.
I would question how great those minds are if they're accepting things because they have no better explanation, or at least an explanation they choose not to understand or accept.
Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and maybe you learned something new.
Yeah, I learned that there are a lot more people who fill in gaps with a god rather than with an omnipotent potato.
Potatoism. Now get back to work.
Well, I feel like we covered a lot of ground in this video, despite the original only being 4 minutes long. Are you convinced? Do you agree that because there are humans, there must be a god? Or does the cosmological argument make you cringe too? I'm going to skeptic this as being dealt with accordingly. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.